Seems no matter where you look nowadays, everyone's talking about ending capitalism. Well, great. Let's do that. Hi guys, welcome to VersaVice TV. My name is Colin R. Turner. So everyone's talking about ending capitalism nowadays, which I think is great. It's a positive thing. Capitalism is basically chewing up the planet. It's creating this massive inequality and it's just not working for us anymore. So yeah, we got to do something different. I'm absolutely concurrent about that. But if you want to end something, any sort of human activity, it helps to understand what it is first. So you know exactly what it is you're up against. That kind of makes sense. If you want to break up a party or a football game, or you kind of have to know exactly what it is and where it is and what it's about and how it works before you can actually dismantle it. We have to do the same thing for capitalism. And I think that most people who are calling for an end to capitalism don't really fully understand what it is they're trying to end. So I want to try and elucidate a little bit on that now today. So the Oxford Dictionary defines capitalism as an economic system in which a country's businesses and industry are controlled and run for profit by private owners rather than by the government. Which is, of course, absolutely true, and most people abide by that definition. However, the people that I encounter who want to end capitalism, I think don't really fully understand where capitalism comes from and why it's there in the first place. And I think before you can dismantle capitalism, you need to understand where it came from and how it got there.
You'll see, obviously, that it's a good spread.
I made a video recently where I actually created this computer model of a trading society, and that model showed conclusively that all type of free market trading always leads to concentrations of wealth and capitalism. And I think most people don't really understand this. From what I can see, most people who want to end capitalism, they really fall into one of two categories. You have the first eat the rich category. These are the guys who want to smash the system, who want to tear down the banks, who want to break up huge corporations, they want to redistribute wealth, maybe implement something like anarcho-communism or anarcho-capitalism. And then there's the second type of person who is a bit more of a sophisticated approach. These would be the people who are looking to end money itself, maybe implement something like a resource-based economy or an open access economy, which is something that I would support. And they talk about it at a system level, that there's a system in place that is actually wrong for us and we need to implement a new system entirely. But the problem I have with these approaches is that I don't think that capitalism is a system. I think that capitalism is a pattern. I think that it's really important to distinguish the difference between something that's a system and something that's a pattern. A system is something that's created to operate in a certain way, and a pattern is something that happens anyway. So I think that society or a social system is basically like a fractal. It kind of operates on really simple rules and creates this incredible complexity in society that we know and see. For example, trading like for like in society, this is a very simple rule. But this rule, when it's expanded out millions and billions and trillions of times, becomes capitalism. It becomes wealth concentration, it becomes power concentration, and it becomes big inequality. And of course, as we know, it becomes destruction on our biosphere. So rather than capitalism being this kind of like designed system that's like imposed on society, that's forcing people to do things that they don't want to do, it's actually more like people are doing what comes naturally and what comes easiest to them. And then when so many people do that, it becomes capitalism. So in short, if you want to end capitalism, you have to end the basic behaviors of people. And that means trading like for like. This idea of trading like for like, I mean, obviously we're the only species on the planet that engages in that behavior, and almost all of us believe that trade is a completely innocuous or beneficial way to behave. And I can't disagree. I mean, it does seem to be beneficial. But the problem is that when you multiply trade over and over and over and over again, what happens is you create wealth concentration. As I showed in the previous model, when everyone starts out with the same, everyone has the same opportunity, and then you allow them to keep trading. Eventually, you have the guys with all the money, there's few guys with all the money, and most people with very little money. That's just what happens. It's a mathematical certainty. So trading becomes capitalism. So if you want to end capitalism, you have to start talking about ending trade. And how many people who want to end capitalism are ready to talk about ending trade? Because it's something that is so natural to us and is beneficial to us. But until we actually find some other way of operating society, other way of getting the things that we need and giving the things that we want, then trade is always going to become capitalism. The only other alternative to actually have a different type of system that does trade is to have a system that's so heavily regulated that it just becomes oppressive. For example, you could have obviously a maximum wage, you have like a high minimum wage, you have huge tax bans that penalize people who earn over a certain amount of money. You would have to have limits on the amount of trades you can do, limits on the amount of countries that you could have trade with, limits on the amount of people. For example, you would just have to put limits everywhere to try and contain capitalism, to contain trade so it doesn't become capitalism. And I think that that's probably impossible. That, we don't like to be constrained by so many factors. This is why we like and we engage in capitalism so much, is because it kind of gives us freedom to do what we want to do and to find something that benefits us. So I think that the only alternative to capitalism, the only way to end capitalism, is to find a way that ends trade. And for me, that's a no-brainer. The only way to end trade is to start encouraging sharing, or this idea of implicit debt, which I talk about in the Open Access Economy Wiki, which is basically the idea of that rather than exchanging like for like with another person, that you gift something to someone else, and they gift something to someone else, and they gift something to someone else, and it becomes this sort of circular trading arrangement, which, given enough time and given enough of an opportunity, actually does inspire in us confidence in itself to actually be a serious way of operating society. So in other words, you would give of your goods and services whatever you feel like giving and doing, and you would avail of other people doing the same thing, but without directly exchanging like for like with another person, rather doing it on a community level. Anyway, that's what I think. Ending capitalism, I mean, it's a good goal. I understand why people are angry. I understand why people want to do that. But I don't understand why people can't make the connection between trade and capitalism. Because for me, capitalism is just the ultimate expression of trade. And as long as we're trading, capitalism is where we're going to get to, the concentration of wealth. So anyway, something to think about, guys. I hope that's been interesting for you. Don't forget to support me on versavice.tv if you like these videos and you want to see more. Okay, I'm going to see you guys next week. Take care. Ciao. Bye.